Well, we're going to dig into a few more questions here that I think will help you open up that even further. You mentioned the word relationship. So some would say that education is that critical interface between the student and his or her teacher where learning takes place. Do you agree? And if so, how can we unburden teachers to teach and grow each and every student?
Well, okay. That's an easy one. Because if I ask you about your schooling, and whether it's good or bad impressions, you always will talk in terms, I remember this teacher so-and-so, and you give that teacher's name. We remember school and our history about, it's not the content. Gee, they were the greatest teachers in the world. They taught us, the Pythagorean theorem or whatever. But the issue is you remember the people who had an impression on you. So the teacher student, if you look in the hierarchy of education, that is the magic space where learning takes place. It isn't the principal, it isn't the superintendent, it isn't the school board, but it's that space between that magic that happens between that teacher and that student. And really, we really need to uncumber the teachers. So we need to give them what I would call, in my language, trust and freedom. Your curriculum is your teacher. You can have the best written curriculum. You can go out and buy the best thing there is on the market. But if you don't have a good teacher, it isn't worth anything. It is that magic that occurs between that student and that teacher. And that's a relationship.
Mhm.
And that relationship is unique. And education, and this is where probably it has changed the most, it is both art and it's both science. And it's a mixture. And there are some people who are just gifted at working with their children, with their kids, be it high school kids, whatever their age, even adults, and they can get the information across. And it really isn't the information that's critical, it's what is being modeled to them. So teachers are priority, and we sometimes lump them and we give them a negative, well, if you, as an occupation, teachers get knocked all the time. If you can't do it, become a teacher. That was one of the quotes I used to hear. And also in the economy, I remember the day when a student told me, he says, Mr. Appleby, I don't think I'm going to school and I'm not going to become a teacher or anything, because my daddy can get me on at Mack Truck and I can join the union, and Mr. Appleby, I'll make more than you. And he was right. He was right at that time. But that time is no longer there. But the issue is we look at education in sort of a not the proper way. We don't have the right perspective about it. And even as working with international kids, even it's amazing what parents from different countries have an impression of what education can do. In America, I think we have lost what I would say the value of education, the value of learning. I can tell you, working with Asian students, their parents will sacrifice everything for their child to get educated, because that is, in their way of thinking, the way they're going to improve themselves. And that isn't necessarily the case in a typical school situation in America.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I think we need to really look at that relationship, and we need to look at where we're investing, and we need to look at like our budget, or is our money really getting to the kids? Are we really making a difference for the kids? And of course, our motto when I was at Greencastle, when we were together and you read for First Choice, was children first. Children, if your decision isn't impacting kids positively, then why are you making that decision? If it doesn't affect that, and that means teacher training, all those things. So you need to work on that space between the teacher and the student.